Chapter 1. Eulalia married her best friend's older brother. They had been married for 3 years. He was mature, steady, dignified, and reserved, yet he was indifferent to physical intimacy and never once shared a bed with her. In a casual conversation, she inadvertently complained to her best friend about this frustrating situation. The next day, she witnessed something unbelievable. Ryan pinned her best friend, Roma, against the wall and kissed her, his voice already losing control. "You know full well that the one I love is you. I only married Eulalia because you told me to. Now you're forcing me to touch her too? Are you trying to drive me insane?" Roma's eyes were filled with tears. Her voice choked. "Brother, I love you too, but the Zhao family's strict traditions would never allow us to be together, even though I'm just their adopted daughter. Now that you've married Eulalia, please love her properly, okay? In this lifetime, I can never love anyone else but you. Roma, marrying her was the greatest compromise I could make. I don't love her, and I will never touch her." Ryan Zhao's low, anguished voice struck Eulalia like a thunderclap. So it turned out, the reason Ryan never touched her after marriage was because he had loved Roma all along, and marrying her had merely been a facade to satisfy the family. That night, Eulalia was overwhelmed with heartache, crying until she had no tears left. She remembered when she first laid eyes on Ryan and was immediately captivated, falling for her best friend's brother at first sight, chasing after him for 7 whole years. She had offered him her genuine heart, loving him with everything she had for all these years. But to let go completely, it only took a single moment. She spent the night outside, standing in the cold wind. At dawn, she contacted a lawyer and drafted a divorce agreement. Just after she signed her name, the villa's front door opened. Ryan had come back. She was about to hand him the divorce papers when he grabbed her hand tightly, his always cold face now showing an anxiety and worry she had never seen before. "Eulalia, last night Roma suddenly coughed up blood and passed out. At the hospital, the doctors diagnosed her with bone marrow cancer. She needs an immediate transplant. According to the registry, you're a match. Can you save Roma by donating your bone marrow?" Eulalia, exhausted from a sleepless night, barely reacted. Ryan assumed her silence meant refusal, and a pleading look appeared in his usually aloof eyes. "If I hadn't failed the compatibility test, I would never beg you for this. You've been friends with Roma for so many years, and now you're even her sister-in-law. I know you won't just stand by. As long as you agree to donate, I'll fulfill any request you make." Eulalia lowered her dim eyes, her voice full of bitterness. "Any request? Even sleeping together?" "Yes." Seeing him agree without hesitation, Eulalia couldn't help but recall how, for the past 3 years, he had repeatedly resisted and evaded any attempts at intimacy. Clearly, he truly loved Roma down to his bones, even though he didn't love her. Even though he was so unwilling to save Roma, he was ready to agree to even this condition. Before she could respond, the hospital called again, saying the patient's condition was critical. At that moment, his eyes reddened as he looked at her, his voice trembling. "Eulalia, I'm begging you." Eulalia felt a sharp stab in her heart and finally got into his car. After the surgery, she stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Ryan never visited once. During countless follow-up checks, whenever she passed by the next ward, Eulalia could see him at Roma's side, never leaving for a second. He would hold her hand tightly while she slept, reluctant to let go. He would cool down the medicine by blowing on it and feed her spoon by spoon, coaxing her to take bitter remedies with candied fruit. He was so concerned about her health that he would carry her princess style wherever they went, never putting her down. Every word, every action, was full of undisguised, deep affection. Eulalia saw it all. She never disturbed them, just quietly healed her wounds and completed the discharge procedures. As she passed by one last time before leaving the hospital, she heard Roma Zhao's voice. "Brother, you should go check on Eulalia. You haven't shown up for days. She must be upset and might throw a tantrum." Ryan tucked Roma in with a blanket and replied in a cold tone, "She won't. She loves me too much to cause trouble." Eulalia smiled faintly, her eyes filled with exhaustion. She truly wouldn't cause trouble anymore, but not because she loved too much, it was because she no longer loved at all. Composing herself, she returned home alone and saw the divorce agreement, still sitting by the entrance where it had been left a few days ago. She picked it up and read it carefully from beginning to end. Just as the sound of a door opening came from behind her, Ryan Zhao, returning home, was momentarily stunned to see her. His eyes froze slightly. "You're discharged? Why didn't you tell me? I would have come to pick you up." He hadn't even cared for her during her hospitalization. What was the point of telling him about her discharge? She replied calmly, "I knew you were busy. I didn't want to bother you over something so minor." For a moment, the room fell into silence. Ryan said nothing. His gaze darkened, and he began loosening his tie. He reached for her waist and leaned down, intending to kiss her, but Eulalia dodged. Seeing her shocked retreat, he frowned and gave her a rare, deeper look. "The request you made, sleeping together, did you forget?" Eulalia instinctively clenched her hands, her eyelashes trembling as she forced a smile. "I was just joking. No need to take it seriously. Can I change my request?" Ryan visibly relaxed. "Of course." Eulalia saw it all but said nothing. She pulled out the divorce papers and turned to the final page. "Then please sign here. This is what I've wanted most during this time." It was the first time Ryan had seen her so eager to express a need, and he was visibly surprised. "The thing you want most? Which house caught your eye and made you this satisfied?" As he asked, he took the agreement to flip through it, but the next second, his phone rang in his pocket. "Brother, how's the soup going? When are you bringing it over? I'm so hungry." Hearing Roma Zhao's coquettish voice, Eulalia realized that Ryan had only come home today to cook soup for her. "I'll be there soon," he replied. Ryan wasted no time, barely glancing at the document before hastily signing it. Then he rushed into the kitchen, phone still in hand. He spent an hour in the kitchen, then left carrying a thermal container. From beginning to end, he didn't say another word to Eulalia, watching his figure grow smaller and smaller. She spoke softly to the air, answering him. "What I wanted wasn't a house, it was freedom." Ryan. Happy divorce. Chapter 2. In the days that followed, Ryan did not return. Eulalia didn't question where he had gone. Instead, she stayed home and packed her belongings alone. The jewelry and handbags he had gifted her after marriage, the suits and leather shoes she had bought for him, the photos they had taken together, the unused cosmetics and miscellaneous items. She didn't keep a single thing, she threw them all away. Watching the little home they had built and decorated together slowly turn empty, she felt a trace of melancholy, but even more, a sense of liberation. After tossing the last box, she turned around and saw Ryan had come back. He stared at the trash can for a while, a trace of bewilderment surfacing on his face. "Why did you throw all these away?" "I won't be needing them anymore, so I cleared them out." "What brings you back?" Eulalia casually found an excuse to change the subject. Ryan didn't press further. He lifted his wrist and checked the time. "I came to pick you up. There's a family banquet today." Eulalia froze for a moment, remembering that today was the Zhao family's biannual family banquet at the old residence. In the past few years, she had never missed one, but this time, she declined. "I haven't been feeling well lately. I won't attend the family banquet." "What's wrong? Should we go to the hospital?" His voice softened a little, making Eulalia feel briefly unaccustomed. She shook her head gently. "It's nothing serious. I just want to rest. I don't feel like being in a crowd." "Then you can stay at home." Ryan was about to agree when Roma Zhao suddenly opened the car door and ran over. "Eulalia, come with me to the banquet, please? If you're not there, I'll be so bored." "Right, brother?" Seeing her blinking in that adorable way, Ryan's heart immediately softened. He swallowed back what he was about to say and nodded, opening the car's back door for them. "Since it's just a family gathering, you can sit and rest if you're feeling unwell. No need to be overly formal. Roma's been cooped up in the hospital for days. It'll be good for her to have someone to chat with." Seeing how quickly his attitude changed, Eulalia felt as if needles were stabbing into her heart. She knew, as long as Roma made a request, no matter what it was, Ryan would always agree without hesitation. So, without saying anything further, she bent down and got into the car. After the car started, Roma sat beside her, chattering endlessly. "Eulalia, your body's all recovered now after donating bone marrow, right? You don't know how much I suffered from rejection reactions at the hospital, dizziness, Nightmares every night. If it weren't for brother staying with me, I couldn't have endured it. He's been so busy with me. Please don't be mad at him, okay? When Eulalia looked up, she noticed the probing look in Roma's eyes. She replied blandly, I won't. Your siblings. Why would I be angry? Only then did Roma relax, grabbing her hand and chatting like she always did. I knew you wouldn't mind. Look, this necklace brother gave me today. Isn't it beautiful? I mentioned it once casually, and he remembered, and spent a fortune to get it for me. Also, these dolls, he won them for me yesterday. Brother's car was too dull, so now they're perfect decorations. Aren't they cute? Looking at the dazzling diamond necklace around Roma's neck and the dolls piled up on the seats, Eulalia felt a tight, suffocating pain in her chest. Ryan had always favored black, white, and gray, minimalist to the extreme. Yet because these were Roma's favorites, he never voiced a single objection, allowing her to decorate his car however she pleased. She remembered once, long ago, she had placed a cute Doraemon figurine in his car, only for it to be thrown out the very next day. He had said, Eulalia, I don't like these things. Don't make decisions on your own again. So, it turns out, the difference between love and no love was a chasm as vast as heaven and earth. She remained silent. Seeing this, Roma assumed she was tired and didn't bother her anymore, instead chatting away happily with Ryan. From the weather to a mutual friend, from embarrassing childhood stories to tonight's menu. No matter what she talked about, Ryan could respond naturally, a smile always lingering at his lips. Eulalia listened quietly, thinking about how whenever she had tried to share little bits of her daily life with him, he had only responded perfunctorily with a okay, or sure, as if words were precious. But with Roma, he was always so attentive, always responding thoughtfully to everything. Even though they were sitting in the same car, his gaze would unconsciously drift to the rearview mirror, sneaking glances at Roma. His love burned so fiercely and openly. How had she never realized it all these years? Eulalia couldn't understand. Her heart felt like it had been pricked with countless tiny needles, spreading an unbearable ache. She looked down at the crescent marks dug into her palms by her nails, then gazed out the window, repeating to herself over and over in her heart, it's okay, just endure a little longer. Once the 1-month divorce cooling-off period ends, everything will be over. Chapter 3. At 6 in the evening, the family banquet officially began. Ryan sat between Eulalia and Roma, raising his glass to toast the elders. Eulalia also stood up and picked up her glass, offering her respects one by one. Roma reached for her own glass as well but was stopped by Ryan. You just got out of the hospital. You don't need to drink. Seeing the formally seated relatives and elders around her, nervousness appeared in Roma's eyes. She lowered her voice and said, but Eulalia isn't feeling well and still toasted. If I don't drink, won't it seem disrespectful? Ryan frowned, took her glass away, and respectfully explained to the elders, Roma hasn't fully recovered yet, and the doctors advised against drinking. But since it's a family rule, as her brother, I'll drink on her behalf. With that, he drained the wine in his glass, looking at her own half-full glass, then at Ryan, who was now helping Roma sit down. Eulalia felt a bitter taste rise in her mouth. She took a deep breath, enduring the burning pain rising from her stomach, and tilted her head back to finish the wine. The alcohol churned her stomach like a storm, causing sharp spasms of pain. Her lips turned white from being bitten so hard, cold sweat soaking through her clothes. Yet she couldn't make a sound, because in the Zhao family's strict traditions, the younger generation must not leave the table before the elders finish, so she could only grip the table tightly and force herself to endure wave after wave of pain. Everyone was busy drinking and chatting, and no one noticed her abnormal state. Ryan, while socializing with the elders, also kept placing food into Roma's bowl, piling it high with fish, shrimp, and crab meat. The Zhao matriarch noticed, glanced at Eulalia's empty bowl, and narrowed her eyes slightly. Ryan, don't just focus on taking care of your sister. Give Eulalia some food too. She hasn't eaten anything. Are the dishes not to her liking? Ryan turned his head and, seeing her pale complexion, placed a piece of fish into her bowl, facing the concerned gazes from all around. Eulalia paused for a moment, then picked up the fish and ate it. Roma Zhao happened to see this. her eyes widening as if she wanted to say something. But when she met the stern gazes of the elders, she didn't dare speak. The matriarch nodded in satisfaction and then turned her gaze to Roma, speaking earnestly. Roma, your birthday is next month. I'll organize a banquet and invite some eligible young men from our social circle. You can meet them and see if there's anyone you like. It's better to settle your marriage sooner rather than later. If you delay too long, it'll be harder to find a good match. All the color drained from Roma's face, and she looked at Ryan in panic. His expression darkened as well, but he maintained his composure and carefully declined. Roma is still young. Waiting another couple of years won't hurt. As for her marriage, I'll personally choose the right person. The elders at the table were stunned, then started persuading him. Ryan, we know you've always doted on your sister, but a man should marry, and a woman should wed. You're so picky, if you're the one choosing. Who knows how many more years it'll drag on. Ever since you got married, we've been looking for matches for Roma. We've picked dozens, but you've rejected all of them. Isn't this holding her back? Exactly. Roma is the same age as Eulalia, already 25. She's not that young anymore. As her brother, you've already married, and she must also want a family of her own. The more Roma listened, the more flustered she became. For the first time, she summoned her courage and spoke her mind. I'm not in a rush to get married. I can wait a few more years. It's okay. Roma, although you're adopted, your parents have loved you like their own since you were little. Of course, they want you to have a good marriage. Now that your brother's marriage is settled, it's only right for us to start planning yours. The matchmaking banquet is decided. You should start preparing. Amid all the chatter, Ryan himself stepped in and finalized the decision. Upon hearing this, Roma trembled all over, her eyes immediately turning red. Ryan's face turned grim, the veins on the back of his hand bulging. Finally unable to hold it in, he stood up abruptly, his voice filled with barely concealed anger. I said, Roma's marriage is up to me. I don't need any of you meddling. The Zhao family heir, always known for being composed and restrained, lost his temper in front of all the uncles and elders, instantly causing an uproar. Everyone's faces turned ugly. What do you mean we can't interfere? She's at the perfect age for marriage. If you delay, she'll be 30 soon. How can we not care? Exactly. Even though you've spoiled Roma since childhood, you're married now. In the future, your wife and children will naturally come first. No matter how much you love Roma, you won't be able to care for her the same way. Engulfed in anger, Ryan didn't even think before coldly rebuking. I will never have children in this lifetime. As long as Roma doesn't want to get married, I will never force her. As long as I'm here, she can marry whenever she wants, even if she never marries. I will take care of her for the rest of her life. Chapter 4. The family quarreled endlessly, their faces flushed with anger, but Eulalia remained silent throughout. She sat upright in her chair, watching Ryan lose control as he argued fiercely with his parents, feeling as if something heavy was pressing against her chest, oppressive and suffocating. She got up, intending to leave, but at that moment, the furious Zhao father overturned the table in a fit of rage. What nonsense are you talking about? The Zhao family has had a single male heir for 9 generations. What do you mean you will never have children? The food, dishes, and bowls flew through the air. Ryan instinctively shielded Roma and dodged. Meanwhile, Eulalia, who remained standing, was unable to react in time and was hit full force by the flying tableware and the scalding soup. The hot soup splashed onto her, scalding her arms bright red and raising blisters. Porcelain bowls struck her shoulder, neck, and forehead, blood quickly seeping out and staining her clothes crimson. She let out a muffled groan and collapsed heavily to the ground, feeling as if her whole body was falling apart. Pain, both sharp and itchy, shot through her limbs and bones, tearing at her nerves. She forced her eyelids open, only to see Ryan shielding Roma and walking away without even looking back. Her vision grew increasingly blurry, and she felt herself being dragged down by a heavy force, plunging straight into darkness. She didn't know how much time had passed before she awoke again, only to find herself in a hospital. Roma was dozing off at her bedside, with Ryan standing behind her, his face cold and detached. He draped his jacket over Roma's shoulders and was about to stroke her face when he met Eulalia's gaze. His hand froze midair, then dropped back down. Without saying a word, he turned and went to call the doctor. Watching him leave, Eulalia tried to move, wanting to pull her numb hand out from under Roma's head, but she accidentally woke her up. Roma blinked sleepily, her voice still groggy. Eulalia, are you okay? How are you feeling? I'm fine. Looking at the wounds on her body already wrapped in bandages, Eulalia shook her head. Only then did Roma relax, pouring a cup of water and handing it to her. I'm so glad you're okay. You scared me so much yesterday. You weren't just scalded. You also had a severe allergic reaction. I really regret not stopping you from eating that piece of fish. You know you're allergic. Why didn't you just tell brother instead of trying to tough it out? While she was softly scolding her, Ryan returned with the doctor. Hearing Roma mention Eulalia's fish allergy, Ryan visibly stiffened, his gaze complex as he looked over. Eulalia shook her head. I wasn't trying to be brave. It's just that the family rules at the banquet were too strict, and the elders were watching. I didn't want to ruin everyone's mood, so I ate the fish. Roma Zhao sighed and squeezed her hand. I know you don't like those occasions either. Let me tell you some good news. Brother promised me that from now on, except for New Year's Eve, we won't have to attend any more family banquets. You don't have to walk on eggshells anymore, and I won't have to be pressured into marriage. Recalling the chaotic scene before she fainted, and hearing this news now, Eulalia wasn't the least bit surprised. Ryan was willing to turn against his family just to prevent Roma from being forced into marriage. It was enough to prove that his love for her had reached a reckless and desperate level. Eulalia knew, seeing how desperately Ryan was trying to protect Roma, that it was only a matter of time before he would reveal his true feelings. And when that happened, there would surely be a storm of blood and tears. She didn't want to get caught up in it. She just wanted to escape, completely and forever. Seeing Eulalia silent, Roma wanted to continue speaking, but suddenly her phone rang. Seeing Dad on the screen, Roma's expression froze, and she looked at Ryan for help. Ryan frowned deeply, grabbed her phone, and quickly left the room. Knowing from his expression that something bad would happen, Roma hurried after him. The room fell silent again, with only the doctor still carefully examining Eulalia. Looks like you're mostly out of danger, but just to be safe, you should get a full-body checkup upstairs. Eulalia took the examination form and went alone for further tests. The elevators were all occupied at the top floor, and not wanting to wait, she headed for the stairs. But just as she reached the stairwell, she heard a familiar voice. Roma, listen to me carefully. I don't care how they feel once they know about our feelings for each other. I just want to keep you by my side. I never want to be separated from you, even if it means giving up the Zhao family inheritance. I'll do it willingly. And what about Eulalia? She's your wife now, and my best friend. I can't hurt her like this. Roma was crying, tears streaming down her face as she looked at Ryan. He gripped her hands tightly, bloodshot eyes filled with suppressed despair. If you didn't want to hurt her, you shouldn't have forced me to marry her back then. You knew I never loved her. The only one I love has always been you. His voice was hoarse and broken as he poured out years of anguished, unrequited love. No longer caring about anything, he lowered his head to kiss her. Roma Zhao closed her eyes and accepted his kiss, unable to resist falling deeper. When she finally felt she was suffocating, she choked out a soft "brother" and leaned against his chest, gasping for breath. Just as she was slowly recovering, she lifted her head slightly and saw the figure standing at the door. In an instant, all the blood drained from her body. Eulalia? Chapter 5. Eulalia stood quietly, watching them kiss, with countless words rising in her throat. But when she tried to speak, those words stuck there, and not a single syllable came out. Roma's expression changed drastically. She quickly pushed Ryan away and hurried toward Eulalia. Eulalia, why are you up? If you were awake, you should have called me. Just now, my brother and I were discussing what gift we should buy to cheer you up after your injuries. And then, a bug flew into my hair. Brother was helping me get it out. She stumbled through her explanation, frantically winking at Ryan, signaling him to play along. Ryan's face immediately went cold. He pressed his lips tightly together, saying nothing. Seeing that Roma was about to cry from anxiety, he finally gave a slight nod and said in a cold voice, "Yes." Eulalia understood very well Roma was doing this because she didn't want to destroy their 7-year friendship. After learning the truth, Eulalia had indeed hated Roma for a while, unsure how to face her, but after deciding to leave, both love and hatred began to fade away. She no longer cared. So even though she knew they were putting on a show for her, she didn't expose them. Suppressing the turbulent emotions in her chest, she forced out a smile. So that's what happened. Roma, unaware of what Eulalia was truly thinking, assumed she hadn't seen everything. She immediately clung to Eulalia's arm and acted playfully. Eulalia, what were you going to do when you came out just now? Let me come with you. Eulalia showed her the medical examination slip. The doctor asked me to get some tests done. Roma Zhao eagerly said she would accompany her, and together they left that place. The results came out quickly. The doctor recommended a few more days of treatment, so Eulalia had no choice but to stay in the hospital. Roma would occasionally come to visit, and wherever she appeared, Ryan would appear as well. They always claimed it was a coincidence, but Eulalia knew clearly the person he truly wanted to see was not her. After all, when he peeled fruit, he always gave the sweetest parts to Roma. The hospital meals he brought were all dishes that Roma liked. When they chatted, he would stay silent, gazing out the window, or rather, gazing at her reflection in the glass. Eulalia saw it all. Occasionally, she felt a twinge of heartache, but she never showed it, because she knew she was slowly walking out of this relationship. Her emotional wounds were gradually healing. One day, she would let go completely. On the day she was discharged, Ryan personally came to pick her up and even proposed they go on a date. Hearing him invite her out for the first time, she froze, not understanding what he was trying to do. He first took her to a movie, then they went shopping together. Ryan Zhao took her to buy jewelry, handbags, clothes, and even picked out more than a dozen styles he thought suited her. This outfit is too bright, it doesn't suit you. These bracelets have a nice clarity. They match your skin tone. After marriage, although they occasionally went shopping, it was always Eulalia who suggested it. Ryan merely accompanied her. No matter what she picked, he never commented, just silently paid for it. So seeing him now, seriously picking styles and giving feedback, felt completely unfamiliar, as if he had been possessed by someone else. The store clerks, rarely seeing such a handsome and patient man, looked at Eulalia with envy. Ma'am, your husband not only shops with you but also helps you pick gifts so thoughtfully. Having a husband who spoils you like this, you must feel so happy, right? Watching him efficiently swipe his black card, Eulalia said nothing, her mind a mess. Happy? If she hadn't known the person he truly loved was Roma, she might have thought so. But after everything, facing these delicate, expensive gifts, her heart was utterly calm. She understood Ryan, unable to give her love, was trying to compensate with money at any cost. But what he could offer, she didn't need, and what she truly wanted, he could never give. Perhaps this marriage had been a mistake from the very beginning. Chapter 6. By the time they finished shopping, it was already evening. Ryan glanced at the time and asked her what she wanted to eat. Eulalia didn't have much of an appetite, so he booked a Cantonese restaurant and casually mentioned. Roma said she's nearby getting her nails done. I asked her to come join us for dinner. In a city as vast as Beijing, somehow they still ran into each other here. Whether it was a coincidence or deliberate, Eulalia didn't know, and didn't care to find out anymore. She simply hummed in acknowledgement, feeling tired, and went ahead into the private room to rest. 10 minutes later, Ryan arrived with Roma. Roma, smiling brightly, rushed over. Eulalia, I asked my brother to take you on a date. How did he do today? Only then did Eulalia realize that Ryan's rare initiative today was because Roma had requested it. 3 years of marriage, even the rare moments of companionship within it, she had stolen them from Roma. Suddenly, she found it laughable. She lowered her head, hiding the complicated emotions in her eyes. During dinner, she barely tasted anything, remaining silent the whole time. Although Roma and Ryan chatted happily, she still noticed Eulalia's downcast mood. After the meal, Roma pulled Eulalia along to a spa and even tried to cheer her up with casual conversation. Eulalia, is it because today's date didn't make you happy? Or maybe the gifts he picked weren't to your liking? Don't mind my brother, he may seem mature and steady, but when it comes to getting along with girls, he's completely clueless. Let me tell you, when we were kids, I once said I wanted black forest cake. He actually learned how to make it for me. One time, when I was practicing piano, 2 girls who had crushes on him came over and asked to share the cake, but he flat out refused. He said, "The things I make are only for Roma." The family teased him about it for years. Isn't he just hopeless? As she spoke, she laughed so hard she leaned back and forth. Eulalia watched her quietly, wanting to laugh but couldn't. Only those who knew they were loved so deeply could be so bold and fearless, right? Feeling the sourness rise inside her, she didn't want Roma to notice. She found an excuse to go to the restroom. When she came back out, the corridor was in chaos. People were squeezing toward the exits, screams filling the air. Thick smoke drifted from the hallway, choking Eulalia into a fit of coughing. Hearing cries of fire, fire! Her first thought was that Roma was still inside. Despite knowing the danger, she fought against the crowd and pushed her way back in. Just as she reached the private room, she saw Ryan shielding Roma and leading her out. Roma clutched his arm, her anxious voice cutting through the noisy crowd. "Brother, Eulalia is still in the restroom. She doesn't know there's a fire. You go save her, I can get out on my own." "Forget her. You come with me first." Zhao's voice was steady and firm, but Roma stubbornly tried to push him away. "I'll be fine. You need to save Eulalia. She's your wife. What if something happens to her today?" "Roma, listen to me," Ryan said coldly. "I don't care what happens to her. I only want you to be safe. If she gets out, that's her luck. If she doesn't, it has nothing to do with you or me. The only person I care about is you. Nothing else matters." Every word was like a dagger, stabbing deep into Eulalia's heart. She bit her lips so hard the metallic taste of blood filled her mouth, suffocating her. Ryan led Roma further away. The crowd grew even more chaotic, shoving Eulalia to the ground. She was trampled, bruises blooming across her body. Agonizing pain radiated from her bones and joints. She trembled uncontrollably, drenched in cold sweat. The fire spread, creeping toward her feet, choking on smoke, tears streaming down her face. She forced herself up, clutching the wall as she stumbled toward the exit. When she finally staggered outside, filthy and battered, she saw Ryan kneeling on one knee, massaging Roma's leg. Watching them, her tear-soaked eyes slowly filled with a deep sorrow. She looked at the bruises mottling her body, gave a self-deprecating smile, and silently turned away. Chapter 7. After returning home alone, Eulalia saw dozens of messages from Roma. She typed a single line, "I'm fine, I'm already home, don't worry." After sending it, she exited the chat and looked at her pinned conversation with Ryan. There wasn't a single message, no greetings, no missed calls. It seemed he really meant it. He truly didn't care about her at all. At that moment, Eulalia's already shattered heart completely turned to ash. There would be no revival. For the next week, Ryan didn't return. Eulalia didn't ask where he went. Instead, she quietly focused on sorting and preparing the assets that would be divided after the divorce. Occasionally, she would stumble upon Roma's travel posts on social media and could always spot traces of Ryan's presence in the photos. The distinct lines of his hand as he peeled a basin full of shrimp, his smiling reflection captured in Roma's pupils when he took her pictures, the initials of his name sketched beside Roma's drawings on the beach. Eulalia went through them one by one, hitting like on countless posts. Day by day, time passed. Finally, her lawyer called. "Miss Yi, today is the last day of the divorce cooling-off period. When are you available to pick up your divorce certificate?" Eulalia had been waiting for this day for far too long. She immediately set out and collected 2 divorce certificates. Leaving the law office, she was about to deliver one copy to Ryan when she received a call from one of his friends. "Eulalia, Ryan's drunk. Could you come over and pick him up?" After confirming the address, she rushed over. Standing at the door of the private room, she was about to push it open when she heard Ryan's drunken voice. "These few days traveling with Roma have been the happiest days of my married life. Only she was by my side. We didn't have to pretend anymore. We could express our love freely. I wish time could freeze, then Roma could belong to me forever. But the dream I've longed for is nothing more than an unreachable fantasy." His voice was thick with despair. and even his friends looked pained. Ryan, stop talking nonsense. Eulalia's on her way. If she hears this, she'll be heartbroken. She loves you so much. She stayed in Beijing for you. Separated from her parents. She has no one else but you here. You can't betray her like this. Yeah, remember? She gave up her hard-won opportunity to study abroad just to marry you. Over the years, she's devoted everything to you. When you worked overtime, she stayed up to bring you soup. After your car accident, she took care of you day and night for a whole month. When you were drinking heavily and had stomach pains during business trips, she flew to you at once. We know your heart is with Roma, but you two are siblings. In this lifetime, it's impossible. You should treasure the one beside you. Otherwise, if you lose her, you'll regret it forever. Hearing their advice, Ryan Zhao let out a soft, bitter laugh. Regret? There's only one thing I regret in my life. 3 years ago, I shouldn't have softened and listened to Roma. I shouldn't have agreed to this marriage. Maybe then, Roma and I would still have had a chance to be together. Chapter 8. Hearing the truths he spilled while drunk, Eulalia felt a tightness in her chest, but no more heartache. She closed her eyes, took a long breath, and when she opened them again, she was calm. She slung her bag over her shoulder, raised her hand, and knocked on the door. A few seconds later, Ryan's friends came out, helping him along. After a few polite exchanges, they helped him into the car and waved goodbye. Eulalia drove Ryan back home and helped him into the villa. He was thoroughly drunk. As soon as they reached the sofa, he pulled her down with him, refusing to let go. Hugging her tightly while calling out for Roma over and over again, Eulalia tried to pry his hands off, her voice inexplicably stubborn. You've got the wrong person. I'm not your Roma. Ryan opened his blurry eyes and stared at her for a long time, then tightened his grip. I know you're Roma. You're mad at me, right? I'm sorry. Brother was wrong. I shouldn't have drunk against your wishes. But I missed you so much. Every day, I think of you and feel miserable. Don't be mad at brother, okay? I really am not Roma. Ryan didn't take her words to heart. He gently patted her hair and pulled out his phone. Baby, don't be mad. Look at the surprise I prepared for you. This is the wedding dress and ring I personally designed for you, your favorite style and sapphire stone. I started planning it when I was 18. Every time I saw you, I imagined how you'd look in a wedding dress, how you'd cry when I put the ring on you. Eulalia stared silently at the luxurious wedding ring and the gown glittering with diamonds on the screen. An indescribable emotion welled up inside her, and from her throat came a low, hoarse voice. You love her that much. Then what does Eulalia mean to you? Eulalia? She means nothing. If you hadn't insisted, I wouldn't have even spared her a glance. Ryan was so drunk he barely knew what he was saying. After these words, he held her tightly and kept murmuring, Roma, I love you. Again and again. Eulalia smiled faintly, closed her eyes, and tears silently streamed down her face. It wasn't until dawn that Ryan finally passed out asleep. She sat quietly, watching him for a long time, then leaned down and placed the divorce certificate belonging to him by his side. In his sleep, Ryan seemed to sober a little. Without opening his eyes, he instinctively mumbled, Eulalia, make me some hangover soup. This time, Eulalia did not reply okay like she used to. Instead, she quietly stood up, went back to the bedroom. When she came out again, she was carrying a suitcase. Without sparing him another glance, she walked out of the villa without hesitation. She had booked the earliest flight back to Shanghai, hailed a cab, and headed straight for the airport. Watching the rapidly retreating scenery, she pulled out her phone and deleted all of Roma and Ryan's contact information. When the cab stopped at the airport entrance, the first light of dawn shone down, bathing her in golden light. She lifted her head and took one last look at the city. Goodbye, Beijing. Goodbye, Ryan. Chapter 9. By the time Ryan fully sobered up, the sun was already high in the sky. His headache from the hangover left him dazed. He instinctively wanted to call Eulalia to find some painkillers. But the moment he opened his eyes, he saw the divorce certificate placed next to him. He froze for a second, then frowned and flipped it open. Eulalia, what are you playing at? I just had a bit too much to drink yesterday. Is that enough reason to threaten me with a divorce certificate? He grumbled while standing up, but but the moment he saw the names printed on it, he froze. This divorce certificate was real. His expression changed instantly. Ignoring his headache, he hurriedly threw on some clothes and rushed downstairs. He searched the villa thoroughly, but there was no sign of Eulalia. Not a single trace remained. Everything that once belonged to her had vanished, as if Eulalia had never existed in his life at all. Ryan's face darkened. He sat in silence for a long time, then pulled out his phone, only to discover that he had been blocked. Eulalia had really left. Why? Hadn't he treated her well enough lately? Besides, she loved him so much, how could she possibly leave? He slumped onto the sofa, his head pounding. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A new message notification lit up the screen. It was from his sister. Brother, are you busy? I suddenly really want to eat the osmanthus cake from that shop in the south of the city. Could you get some for me? Followed by a cute emoji. Seeing Roma's message, Ryan immediately tossed aside thoughts of Eulalia and drove straight toward the south of the city. In his heart, he believed this was just Eulalia's way of seeking attention. He was tired of pretending to love her. If she wanted to throw a tantrum, then fine, they would see who would come crawling back to beg for reconciliation first. Ryan sneered coldly and didn't think about Eulalia anymore. It took him 2 hours of driving and half a day in line to buy the osmanthus cake. By the time he reached Roma, it was already dusk. His sister, looking freshly awake from a nap, immediately ran over to him when she saw him. Brother! Ryan caught her in his arms, his eyes filled with affection. I got you the osmanthus cake. Eat it while it's still warm. He pulled out the carefully wrapped cake from inside his coat, earning a bright smile from Roma. Thank you, brother. She carefully unwrapped it and took pictures. Then she pouted playfully. Why did you only buy one portion? Eulalia loves this cake too. She'll be upset if she doesn't get any. I'll share half with her. Brother, remember to bring it to her later, okay? Roma hadn't yet realized that Eulalia had left. She posted her pictures on social media first, then opened her chat window to send them to Eulalia, but the message failed. A red exclamation mark popped up. Eulalia blocked me. Brother, did you do something to upset her again? Hearing his sister's accusation, Ryan snorted coldly. I didn't do anything. She left on her own. He pulled out the divorce certificate. Back at home, he hadn't thought much about it. But now, facing the woman he truly loved, Ryan couldn't help but whisper. Roma, isn't this perfect? Eulalia asked for the divorce herself. Now she's gone. We can finally be together, no longer pretending to be siblings. Just like when we traveled together, just the two of us. As he spoke, he took slow steps closer. Roma's face filled with panic as Ryan trapped her against the wall. Brother, we're siblings. Our family will never approve of this. She tried to speak, but couldn't stop Ryan's advances. Just like when they were traveling, when they could act freely, openly intimate like real lovers, even sharing a bed. Ryan grabbed his sister's wrist, pinned her to the wall, his bloodshot eyes burning with obsession, and kissed her fiercely. I told you, for you, I would sever ties with the family, and I mean it. Chapter 10. Maybe because there were finally no more restraints, Roma quickly gave in. Her face was flushed, breathless from her brother's kisses, and the osmanthus cake had fallen to the floor, forgotten by both. Ryan scooped Roma up and carried her to the bed, impatiently stripping away her clothes, covering her fair skin with kisses one after another. After a night of indulgence, Ryan was fully satisfied. He held Roma in his arms, whispering softly into her ear, Roma, let's get married, okay? Even if others find out. I don't care. For you, I'm willing to do anything. The man's vow burned against her ear, dyeing her cheeks crimson. Roma bit her lip and shook her head, her face full of conflict. But Eulalia loves you so much. If we do this, she'll definitely be heartbroken. Brother, could you go find her? Let's apologize to her together. Eulalia is my best friend. She'll forgive us. Then you two can have a child. Enough. Before she could finish, Ryan Zhao interrupted her. His face was filled with anger. I already listened to you once and married her. Now she's the one asking for the divorce. Roma, you know very well, the only person I love is you. No one would be happy if I stayed with Eulalia. Let's try once for ourselves, okay? It was the first time he had ever rejected one of Roma's requests. In the past, whatever Roma asked for, he would give without hesitation. But now, after being rejected repeatedly, he couldn't help but grow agitated. Roma's expression gradually turned pitiful and aggrieved. She curled up in Ryan's arms, her voice trembling with sobs. "Brother, just this once, the last time, please. Eulalia Yi is my best friend. I don't want to hurt her. And besides, we're siblings. If this gets out, the family will punish us. If you stay with Eulalia, we can still meet and be together, right?" As she spoke, tears rolled down her cheeks, melting Ryan's heart. He hugged her tightly, his voice low and helpless. "All right, I get it. I'll go find Eulalia, but this is the last time. If she causes any more trouble after this, I won't care about her anymore." Upon hearing this, Roma immediately brightened, nodding vigorously. I knew brother was the best." Ryan's expression softened too. His large hand slowly slid along the curve of her waist, caressing gently. "But wait a few more days. Finally, there's no one else around. I want to spend a few more days with you." Roma didn't speak, but her flushed face and slight nod gave her silent consent. Immediately after, Ryan flipped over, pinning her beneath him once again. Soon, the room was filled with breathy moans. Another sleepless night. In order to fulfill his wish, Ryan didn't waste a second. Starting the next day, he took Roma out to enjoy themselves everywhere. Those unaware thought it was simply a brother doting on his sister, but those who knew the truth understood they were finally able to indulge without restraint. Ryan even organized a party and invited all his friends. In the private room, Roma sat tightly nestled against his side, and Ryan wouldn't even let her drink a single sip of alcohol. Seeing this, his friends exchanged worried glances and asked, "Ryan, where's Eulalia? Aren't you worried she'll find out about you and Roma being so close?" "Yeah, we all know you've loved Roma for a long time, but if Eulalia finds out today, it'll be messy." Ryan, who had already drunk several bottles, laughed disdainfully upon hearing Eulalia's name. "Her? We're already divorced." Chapter 11. When everyone heard the news, they all exclaimed in shock. "Something this big, and there wasn't even a rumor? You really kept it hidden well. But now that you're divorced from Eulalia, are you planning to marry Roma? Not to sound like a bad friend, but with your family's traditions, that's definitely going to be a huge obstacle." "Exactly. Are you two ready for that?" they kept asking, one after another. Everyone thought that now Ryan was divorced, he would surely throw everything aside to be with his sister, after all. Over the years, their feelings for each other had been obvious to all, but the more they talked, the worse Ryan's expression became. He pulled Roma closer into his arms, lowering his voice. "Roma, what do you think?" He gave the choice to Roma. As long as she said the word, he would give her everything without hesitation, no matter the cost. Ryan stared deeply at her, while the others continued pressing questions. Calmly, Roma answered, "Right now, Eulalia is just mad at my brother. They've been married for so long. They'll reconcile soon. Stop joking around. My brother and I are just siblings. How could I possibly be with my brother?" "Brother, you're going to get Eulalia back, right?" Roma's pure and innocent words left everyone staring at Ryan in disbelief. No one dared to believe he would actually agree to something so outrageous, but Ryan nodded slightly, agreeing with his sister. "Roma is right. Eulalia is just angry with me for now. I'll win her back soon, and we'll remarry." As he spoke, he stared intently at Roma Zhao, as if it were the most natural and casual promise. His friends all frowned, and finally, someone quietly voiced their concern. "But Ryan, you said Eulalia already divorced you. If she's truly decided to leave, she might not come back so easily. And if you and Roma truly love each other, we brothers would support you, but isn't it wrong to keep stringing Eulalia along?" The room fell silent. They had long felt uneasy about Ryan being with Eulalia while loving his sister, but now, they couldn't help but speak up. Before Ryan could answer, Roma spoke first. "Marrying my brother was Eulalia's longtime dream. She's just sad now because of the divorce. I'm doing this for her own good. She'll come back. She loves my brother too much to walk away." Ryan nodded. He thought Roma was right. If not for Roma pleading with him to even look at Eulalia back then, He would never have married her. It would be the same now, as long as he turned back. Eulalia would surely return to him. These few days were just their last moments of freedom. The man picked up a bottle of liquor and drank straight from it. When Roma tried to stop him, Ryan captured her lips in a heavy, boozy kiss. It was the first time they had kissed in front of all their friends. Roma pushed weakly at Ryan's chest but couldn't push him away. Soon, she was lost in his passionate embrace. Just as Ryan was about to go even further, the door to the private room slammed open. Zhao father stormed in, furious. "Ryan! Roma! What the hell are you two doing?" Instantly, the two separated. Roma's face turned deathly pale as she tried to climb off her brother, but Ryan held her tightly, speaking firmly. "You saw exactly what we were doing." Roma couldn't believe it. She shrieked, "Brother, what are you doing?" Ryan looked at her seriously. "Roma, let's be together, okay? I don't want to hide anymore. We're not real siblings, we can be together openly. Even marry and have children. As long as you're willing, we can stay together forever." Seeing the seriousness in his eyes and their adoptive father's cold, commanding expression, Roma panicked. She raised her hand and slapped Ryan hard across the face. "Brother, stop talking nonsense." The slap echoed sharply in the room. Ryan fell silent, hurt flashing across his eyes as he clenched his fists. The other people had already quietly slipped out of the room. Zhao father let out a heavy snort, ignoring their private drama. Several bodyguards came in immediately and pinned them both down. "You're both coming back to the old house tonight. No one is leaving until this mess is settled." Chapter 12. On the way back, Ryan remained utterly silent while Roma wept uncontrollably. She tried to touch his reddened face, but he avoided her hand. When they arrived at the old house, both were forced to kneel together in front of Zhao father and mother Duan, who were seething with rage. "Explain yourselves. What is going on between you and Roma? Your brother and sister, how could you have such disgraceful thoughts?" Ryan spoke first. "We're not blood related. Roma is just an adopted daughter. Dad, Mom, I'm already divorced from Eulalia. I want to be with Roma." Zhao father's face was burning with fury. He had never imagined that the son he had so much hope for would harbor such feelings for his sister, and that he had divorced Eulalia without saying a word. He grabbed a stick and struck Ryan hard across the back. "You beast!" Immediately after, Zhao father's eyes shifted toward Roma. The girl panicked, scrambling to defend herself. "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Brother forced me. Eulalia is my best friend. How could I possibly make her and brother divorce? It's because brother didn't care about Eulalia that they got divorced. Dad, I didn't do anything." Roma's tear-streaked face looked utterly pitiful. Her words did nothing to ease Zhao father's anger. In fact, he now glared even more fiercely at Ryan. Ryan turned toward her, stunned, disappointment and disbelief filling his eyes. "Roma, what are you saying? We love each other." "No, we don't. You forced me. Brother forced me to kiss and even sleep with him. I never wanted any of it. I just wanted you and Eulalia to stay together." Tears streamed endlessly down her face as she vividly painted a picture of being forced into everything. With each word she uttered, the color drained further from Ryan's face. He had never thought that the girl he had loved for so long, his Roma, would say something like this at such a critical moment. She had loved him too. How could she do this? In the end, Zhao father looked at Ryan with nothing but disgust. Zhao family's strict rules absolutely forbade this kind of scandal. They summoned the bodyguards to pin Ryan down and brought out a whip. According to family law, committing such a rebellious act would warrant 99 lashes. "Ryan, do you admit your fault?" Before the punishment began, Zhao father asked sternly. If he were truly whipped 99 times, Ryan would be half dead by the end. Zhao father was obviously giving him one last chance to repent. Even Roma, terrified, tugged gently at Ryan's sleeve. "Brother, just admit you were wrong. 99 lashes, you'll be beaten to death. Brother, please." Her panic didn't seem fake, but Ryan's heart had already been completely shattered by what happened earlier. He turned his head, giving a cold, mocking laugh, and shook off Roma's hand. "I'm not wrong. Even if it kills me, I'll accept it." He stared at Roma, sorrow choking his voice. "I told you, for you, I would do anything. 99 lashes mean nothing." "Roma." Zhao father's eyes sharpened further, his expression turning even colder. "Roma, terrified of being dragged down with him, screamed, "Brother, stop talking!" Ryan lowered his head in bitter self-mockery. Zhao father gave no further chance for regret. The whip came down with full force. Each strike ripped into Ryan's flesh, drawing blood, making him cry out in pain as cold sweat poured down. By the end, even the whip broke apart. Ryan finally collapsed, unconscious, his body covered in glaring, bloody wounds. Zhao father ordered them to drag Ryan away. Then his eyes turned to Roma, making her tremble uncontrollably. In his eyes, Roma had always been a well-behaved, slightly childish girl. He had never imagined she would get entangled with his own son. "Roma, prepare for an arranged marriage. Though you're only Zhao family's adopted daughter, I've always treated you as my own. But you and Ryan are not suitable." His voice was icy cold, reminding her of her true identity. Tears flowed uncontrollably down Roma's face. She knelt and agreed softly, without Ryan by her side. She didn't dare resist the family's arrangements at all. Chapter 13. It wasn't until the next day that Ryan finally woke up. The slightest movement caused unbearable pain across his body. Roma was lying next to him. Seeing him awake, her face lit up with joy. "Brother, you're finally awake. I've been so worried about you. Are you still hurting?" Looking at the concern written on her face, Ryan only felt it was ironic. He turned his head away, refusing to look at her or respond. Seeing him like this, Roma's voice wavered with pitiful sobs. She grasped Ryan's hand, trembling as she tried to explain. "I'm sorry, brother. I know you hate me now, but I had no choice. I had to say those things. From beginning to end, I've always just been Zhao family's adopted daughter. If I made a mistake, Dad would definitely kick me out. But you're different. Dad only beat you. He didn't say anything else. Brother, do you know? Right after you passed out, Dad immediately started arranging a marriage for me. If I really got kicked out, we would have no chance left. Brother, listen to me. Go find Eulalia, okay? Only if she comes back will Dad be satisfied. Then we can maintain things the way they used to be." As Roma spoke, tears streamed down her face. After spoiling her for so many years, Ryan's heart softened again, even though he had been hurt deeply by what happened earlier, especially when he heard about the arranged marriage. He couldn't help but grip Roma's hand tightly. "Even if we were kicked out, even if ties were severed, I could still take care of you. Roma, why won't you give me a chance? Do you know, ever since I was 18, I dreamed of marrying you. I personally designed your wedding dress and the ring, imagining the day you would wear them, becoming my bride. Roma, I really don't want to be separated from you." He pulled out his phone and showed her the designs he had meticulously saved all these years, the luxurious, beautiful wedding dress, the priceless ring worth hundreds of millions. Spreading them out before her, Roma threw herself into his arms in a rush of emotion. "Brother, I know, but we can't. Not right now." Hearing her cry again, Ryan couldn't hold on to his anger. He hugged her tightly, speaking with difficulty. "All right, brother will listen to you. I'll go find Eulalia." Only then did Roma stop crying, but Ryan immediately added, "But you can't marry anyone. Roma, stay by my side. I can't live without you. That's my only bottom line." She broke into a bright smile, her cheeks flushing pink as she leaned in and kissed him for the first time. "Of course, Roma won't leave, brother. I'll stay with brother forever. Even if we can't openly be lovers or husband and wife, I'll always stay by your side." Hearing the girl's promise, Ryan's mood visibly improved. His dark eyes locked onto the girl who had initiated the kiss. Ignoring the pain from his wounds, he pulled her into his embrace. Just as he was about to deepen the intimacy, Roma placed a hand on his chest, blushing even harder. "Brother is still injured. Today, let Roma take care of you." Ryan Zhao's eyes darkened instantly, and his breathing grew heavy. Soon after, soft moans began to echo from the room. However, because of Zhao father's close monitoring, they dared not go too far. After a while, Roma left, and Ryan composed himself. He then sought out Zhao father, admitted his mistakes, and promised to bring Eulalia back. Only then did Zhao father look at him with some satisfaction. "Ryan, you have to understand, everything I do is for your own good. Has Eulalia ever treated you badly? Even when you were indifferent to her, She never lost her sense of propriety or brought shame to the Zhao family. Whenever you were sick or in trouble, wasn't it Eulalia who stayed by your side taking care of you? Roma is just an adopted daughter, she doesn't know anything. How could she be worthy of being with you? Ryan instinctively wanted to refute, but no words came out. He thought of Eulalia's departure, perhaps she had long since realized what was happening between him and Roma. Yet she had never exposed them. She had only chosen to quietly leave. His heart churned with complicated emotions. But for now, Ryan could only swallow it all down and silently agree to Zhao father's words. Chapter 14. Eulalia's whereabouts weren't hard to find. Her hometown was in Shanghai. And back then, everyone knew she had stayed in Beijing solely because of Ryan. Ryan booked the earliest flight to Shanghai and headed straight to the Yi family home. One of the reasons Zhao father had been satisfied with Eulalia was because their families were well matched. The Yi family had deep roots in Shanghai and was, in fact, comparable to the Zhao family. Plus, Eulalia had been so devoted to Ryan, taking care of him in every way, and had even shared her family's business opportunities with the Zhao family. That was why Zhao father had insisted on Ryan trying to win her back. In everyone's eyes, Eulalia was just throwing a tantrum. They all believed that as long as Ryan lowered himself and coaxed her, Eulalia would obediently return. Both Ryan and Roma thought this way. But when Ryan arrived at the Yi residence and was blocked at the door, he frowned in disbelief. "Didn't you hear me? I'm Ryan. I'm here to see Eulalia. Let me in." "Since when does a butler have the authority to make decisions at the Yi house?" The butler shook his head, firmly standing in Ryan's way without letting him step inside. "Sorry, Mr. Zhao, these are the orders from the Yi family. Since the divorce, both Madame Yi and Miss Yi have clearly stated they do not wish to see you." "Impossible!" Ryan shouted instinctively, then furrowed his brows tightly. He hadn't expected that his very first step in Shanghai would be blocked at the door. Just as he was growing anxious, the butler suddenly bowed. "Miss, you're back." Hearing that, Ryan turned around. Sure enough, it was Eulalia. Before he could feel a rush of joy, he noticed there was a stranger beside her, a man, and she was holding his arm intimately. Ryan immediately stormed over, his face filled with anger. "Eulalia, I came all this way to find you, and this is how you treat me? Don't you want to remarry me?" The man next to her had a playful expression, while Eulalia turned toward Ryan, the smile she had just worn fading into coldness. "I never said I wanted to remarry you. I thought I had made my stance very clear. Ryan, we are divorced." Hearing her say it so bluntly, Ryan was shaken. He had never imagined that their first meeting after so long would unfold like this. In his mind, as long as he came in person, Eulalia would eagerly reconcile with him, not greet him with such cold indifference. In that instant, it felt as if a needle had pierced his heart. He grabbed Eulalia's wrist forcefully, his eyes cold and burning with anger. "Is it because of this man? We've barely been divorced, and you already have someone new? Eulalia, are you so desperate for a man now just because you couldn't sleep with me? I didn't realize you were this desperate before." He sneered, casting a contemptuous glance at the man beside her. "How many times have you slept with him? If you come back with me and remarry, I'll agree to sleep with you immediately. Will that satisfy you?" He was about to say more, but Eulalia wrenched her hand away and slapped him hard across the face. Her eyes were no longer cold, they were full of contempt and disgust. "Ryan, you really make me sick. You came all the way here just for Roma, didn't you? You've been dying to be with her. Now I've stepped aside. Isn't that exactly what you wanted?" She knew. She had known all along. Ryan clutched his face, his expression dark and twisted. Only now did he truly look at Eulalia carefully. He hadn't expected that after just 2 short months, she had become even more beautiful. Roma had always been childish, but Eulalia had always been dignified and elegant. Now, she carried an even more refined aura, nothing like the busy housewife she had been during their marriage. Forcing himself to calm down, he spoke slowly. "Roma is your best friend, and my sister. Eulalia, even if you're determined to cut ties with me, you shouldn't hurt her." At the mention of Roma, a flicker of emotion crossed Eulalia's face, but then she laughed bitterly. She had always treated Roma as her best friend, but how had Roma treated her? Chapter 15. Since university, she had known Roma. Alone in Beijing, she had cherished this friendship deeply, even after falling in love with Ryan and being repeatedly rejected. She never wanted to ruin her relationship with Roma over a man. But what about Roma? She used her as a shield for their so-called love, deliberately pushing her toward Ryan, someone who had never loved her, making her endure endless torment. All those seemingly unintentional displays of affection had been entirely calculated. In the past, Eulalia used to think Roma was just spoiled. But now, having left that twisted environment, she realized everything had been a deliberate trap targeting her. Her voice was cold as she replied, "From the day I left, Roma and I ceased to be friends." These words infuriated Ryan, and he spoke with agitation. "Roma always saw you as her best friend. She was always thinking about you, even after you left. She worried about you every day. She's the one who begged me to come find you, Eulalia. And this is how you treat her?" Facing Ryan's accusations, Eulalia remained utterly indifferent. Her words, however, struck like knives. If she really saw me as her friend, she wouldn't have refused to see me after I donated my bone marrow. She wouldn't have ignored me all this time since I left. She only used me as a prop to flaunt their so-called love. Thinking of the past, a cold smile curled on her lips. "Don't bother coming to find me again, Ryan. We have no ties anymore." After speaking, she brushed past him and walked into the Yi house. Ryan tried to stop her but was too late. In his anger, he grabbed the man beside her who was about to follow her inside. "Who are you? You seduced Eulalia, didn't you? She's never been like this before. Why should you be allowed into the Yi family?" The man chuckled but hadn't even responded before the butler spoke respectfully. "Young master, what dishes shall we prepare for you and Miss tonight?" Jordan smiled slightly, and Ryan's expression froze. He had never heard that the Yi family had a son. While he was still piecing things together, Jordan Yi leaned in casually. "I'm the Yi family's adopted son, though it wasn't publicly announced before. Originally, after my sister married you, the Yi family planned to let me inherit the family business and officially announce my identity. But now that she's divorced you, Ryan, guess what? Do I want the Yi family's fortune, or do I want my sister?" At first, seeing the closeness between Jordan and Eulalia had unsettled Ryan. Now, hearing their true relationship and Jordan's blatant words, Ryan immediately realized Jordan's true intentions. He liked his own sister. Ryan's brow furrowed deeply, and he instinctively rebuked, "You actually have feelings for your sister? Does the Yi family even know? They'll never allow this." At his words, Jordan raised an eyebrow. "And yet you're allowed to love your own sister? You loved your sister Roma, didn't you? But I'm not allowed to love mine? Besides, she's already divorced you. She has nothing to do with you anymore. You should worry about your own sister." With that, Jordan turned and headed into the Yi house. Ryan tried anxiously to grab him, but he failed. He could only watch helplessly as Jordan intimately approached Eulalia, the two sitting together at the dining table, and then, the heavy door slammed shut in his face. Watching Eulalia's figure slowly vanish from sight, Ryan felt an indescribable tightness in his chest, suffocating him. He had never imagined that someone else would appear so quickly beside Eulalia, and so openly. As if staking a claim, he angrily pounded the door, but no one answered. A faint but sharp pain gnawed at his heart, like countless needles stabbing into him. Why did seeing Eulalia with another man hurt this much? She was supposed to be just a tool to him. If not for Roma, he wouldn't even have looked at her. No matter how much he tried to convince himself of that, the suffocating ache in his chest refused to dissipate. Chapter 16. Inside the Yi house, Jordan Yi was still clinging to Eulalia. "Sis, you finally came back. Don't you want me to take you out for a bit?" Eulalia sighed helplessly. In fact, she and Jordan hadn't spent much time together. Because he was adopted, his identity had always been kept secret. Plus, they attended different schools when growing up, so their shared memories only stretched back to childhood. She really didn't understand what Jordan liked about her, after all. They were siblings. She turned and pushed Jordan away. "Jordan, I know you're mostly handling the family business now. You must be busy. You didn't have to come back specially. I've already figured things out." Even though he was rejected, Jordan didn't get angry. He casually pulled out a chair and sat down. "The company's affairs are all managed by assistants. It's no big deal now that you're finally back. I just want to spend more time with you. I know you can't accept me right away, but please, don't just treat me like a brother." okay? Jordania's serious tone made Eulalia feel a little guilty. She gave in and sat down, asking curiously, Jordan, what exactly do you like about me? We haven't seen each other for years, since hearing about her divorce. Even before her parents said anything, Jordan had rushed over. Originally, she had thought their bond was only familial, but Jordan had suddenly confessed to liking her. Given their adoption status and sibling relationship, Eulalia's first reaction was resistance, but Jordan's persistence piqued her curiosity. Jordan recalled, a soft smile tugging at his lips. Sis, do you remember? When I was first adopted into the Yi family, everyone looked down on me. Only you patiently taught me manners, how to eat properly, how to face the adults' judgment. Later, when I was sent away, the Yi family treated me with distant neglect, but you always genuinely cared whether I was doing okay. Those memories floated back to the surface. Eulalia had never thought her small kindnesses would stay with someone for so long. But I only feel familial love toward you, even though we're not blood related. Now that you've taken over the Yi family business, we can't be together. Jordan smiled indifferently and sat closer to her, his voice low. The Yi family's fortune means nothing compared to you. If you're willing, if you have the courage, I can give it all up. I know you can't accept me now, but let's spend some time together. Try it out, okay? If you truly don't feel anything for me, I won't cling to you like Ryan did. I'll be mature about it. I'll quietly disappear far away and make sure the company flourishes to make it up to you. Sis, just give me a chance. His voice softened, and he suddenly seemed like the little boy from her memories. Eulalia couldn't help but laugh softly. Since Ryan could be with his sister, why couldn't she try being with her brother? She wasn't sure what kind of emotion stirred in her heart, but she nodded slightly. Jordan's eyes lit up instantly, though he quickly forced himself to stay calm. Yet the joy in his expression was impossible to hide. Sis, I'm not joking. Come with me. Once you see something, you'll know how serious I am about this. He took her hand and led her step by step to a room on the second floor, a room that had always been kept locked. Jordan gestured for her to open the door, his gaze gentle. Eulalia hesitated, sensing that once she opened it, something significant would happen. Yet her hand moved involuntarily, pushing the door open. Inside, she almost forgot to breathe from the shock. The room was filled everywhere with photos of her, from childhood to adulthood. Each photo was labeled with what she had been doing at that time. She saw herself at 8 years old, teaching Jordan how to use a knife and fork. At 10, riding on his back, laughing as she hugged his neck. At 12, crying as they were separated. After that, there were no more shared photos, but Jordan had still been silently keeping track of her life. Those childhood memories, like old photographs, pulled back the dust of time. Only now did she realize, before she ever met Ryan, she and Jordan had been so close. The now fully grown man stood by her side, whispering, Sis, all these years, I've never stopped watching over you. Fortunately, I waited long enough. Would you give me a chance? During these past few days, Jordan's kindness was clear. She couldn't pretend she hadn't been moved. Yet it all felt so surreal. They were siblings, family. If they really got together, they might have to pay a huge price. She wondered if this was just another trap. She was a coward. She didn't dare gamble her future on a fantasy. But Jordan's eyes were so sincere, so blazing with emotion, that they burned into her heart. After a long pause, she finally nodded slightly. Okay. Just one word, and Jordan's entire face lit up. Chapter 17. During the days that followed, Jordan showed her with his actions that he was serious. He took her to the most famous restaurant in the city, dining in a private room on the 99th floor, where it felt like you could reach out and touch the clouds and the moon, a romance so breathtaking it stunned her. Sis, come over here. Jordan waved to her by the floor-to-ceiling window. Eulalia walked over, and in the next second, brilliant fireworks lit up the sky, bursting right before her eyes. The dazzling colors were like a dream, making Eulalia's eyes shine with delight. Only after the fireworks ended did Jordan carefully take her hand, doing nothing more, just gently leading her back to the table. They went shopping too, as if knowing all the small regrets buried deep in her heart. He took her through various shops. At first, Eulalia was a little embarrassed, but Jordan had a way with words. No matter what clothes or accessories she tried on, He would always analyze their qualities carefully and conclude with one unwavering truth: she looked good in everything because she was simply too beautiful. Ryan had never seriously accompanied her like this. The few times they had gone out were because Roma had thrown her a pitying bone. Now, Jordan Yi was quietly filling in all those regrets, and something inside her heart began to change, slowly but surely. Later, they went to the seaside. Jordan took 3 days off just to travel with her. They stayed at a beachfront guest house, watching the sun rise and set, tides coming and going, as if all the best moments had been frozen there just for them. "Want to play in the water for a bit?" Jordan asked with a smile, and Eulalia nodded. But Eulalia couldn't swim. She could only wade near the shore, chasing Jordan and splashing water at each other, laughing from the bottom of her heart for the first time in so long. Suddenly, a wave crashed over her, sweeping her off balance. Just as she panicked, Jordan grabbed her, pulling her into his arms, her face pressed against his strong chest, her cheeks burning bright red. Only then did Eulalia fully realize Jordan had grown up. He was using his actions to tell her he was no longer just her little brother, but a man pursuing her. "Sis, are you okay?" Jordan asked with concern, his lips brushing against her ear. That slight warmth startled her, and Eulalia immediately shoved him away, but Jordan just laughed, his eyes crinkling with mischief. That little devil had done it on purpose. Embarrassed and annoyed, Eulalia wanted to scold him, but Jordan didn't push his luck. For the rest of the day, he behaved himself. Later, exhausted from playing, they planned to eat at a nearby restaurant, only to bump into Ryan and Roma. "Eulalia, finally! I missed you so much." Roma waved enthusiastically, her face wearing its usual sweet smile. But the moment Eulalia saw them, her relaxed expression instantly hardened. She responded blandly, "Is there something you want?" Her cold tone seemed to sting Roma. Pouting, Roma ran over and clung to her arm, shaking it. "Eulalia, what's wrong? Are you upset? My brother can be really bad with words sometimes and doesn't know how to make girls happy, but you shouldn't have divorced him just because of that. Look, I dragged him here to apologize to you. Come back with us, please? Didn't we promise to be best friends forever?" Ryan chimed in too. "Roma's right. Both of us came. What else do you want?" Looking at Roma's innocent face and hearing her naive words, Eulalia couldn't help but laugh coldly. In the past, she had been so blind, letting these two hurt her again and again under the guise of doing it for her own good. Now, even after the divorce, they still wanted to make her look like the one who was being unreasonable. Eulalia clenched her fists. Every time she thought her heart was already numb, they still found ways to make her feel suffocated. She looked at Roma and asked quietly, "Roma, do you remember that I donated my bone marrow to you?" Roma nodded earnestly, smiling sweetly. "Of course I remember. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be alive. That's why, no matter what happens, I'll always come find you." Eulalia, "Then what if?" Eulalia said, "My condition for reconciling with Ryan is that you two never see each other again?" Roma's expression changed instantly, but before she could say anything, Ryan rushed forward, unable to hold back. "Eulalia, what do you mean by that?" Chapter 18. "We're siblings, and you want us to never see each other again? What the hell are you thinking? We even came here in person to find you. Isn't that enough? So what if you donated bone marrow to Roma? Does that give you the right to threaten my relationship with her?" Ryan's furious expression made it seem like he had just heard the most blasphemous words. Eulalia gave a bitter smile. She had left quietly, wanting to preserve at least a shred of dignity, not to get entangled with them again. But clearly, they didn't deserve even that. She smoothed her expression, facing them directly. "You say I'm your friend, but when I donated my bone marrow, did either of you visit me even once? After I left, did you ever think about finding me? I married you and stayed by your side for years. Did you ever have even a shred of real affection for me? I was nothing but a cover for your relationship. If you two truly love each other, then go ahead and get married. But don't come looking for me ever again. Do you understand now? Whether it's you or your precious sister, I don't want to have anything more to do with either of you. Ryan, I don't love you anymore, and I don't want to be friends with Roma anymore either." Her tone was serious, firm, and after she finished, She turned and left without any hesitation. Ryan's face turned deathly pale. Just as he was about to reach out to stop her, Roma grabbed Eulalia first. Wait, Eulalia! Since you know the truth now, I admit, it's my fault. But feelings aren't something you can control. In the beginning, I really wanted you to be with my brother. I knew you loved him, so I encouraged him to marry you to fulfill your wish. I never expected things to turn out this way. I heard your brother wants to be with you too, right? How about this, you remarry my brother, and I'll marry your brother. Then we can each go our own way, and no one will ever know. No one's reputation will suffer either. Ryan instinctively frowned, thinking this wasn't right. His sister, marrying someone else? But if it meant remarrying Eulalia, maybe he could accept it. Before Eulalia could even laugh at how absurd this was, Jordan had already stepped in, clearly disgusted. During the time he'd been secretly in love with Eulalia, he had heard enough rumors about Ryan and Roma, but he hadn't expected them to be this shameless. Jordan pulled Eulalia into his arms protectively, his gaze filled with disdain. What nonsense are you spouting? I'll be with my sister openly and honorably. I'm not going to sneak around like the two of you. His words stabbed right into their hearts. Roma clung even tighter to Eulalia's arm, desperate not to let go. I investigated you. You're adopted too, aren't you? If it comes out that you're in love with your sister, Eulalia might be fine, but you'll be kicked out of the Yi family. Everything you have now will be gone. Can you really accept that? You'd be smarter to listen to me, even if it's sneaky. At least you'll keep the Yi family fortune and Eulalia. Isn't that better? She spoke quickly, but her ridiculous reasoning only made Jordan sneer. If I love her, how could I ever bear to let her suffer even a little? What is the Yi family's fortune compared to her? If it's for Eulalia, I can give up everything, even if it costs me endless wealth. I only want her, standing beside me openly, blessed by the world. After saying that, he shook off Roma's hand and left with Eulalia firmly in his arms. Ryan's Adam's apple bobbed. From start to finish, he realized he and Eulalia were of the same mind. Now, seeing their determination, whether out of spite, revenge, or some other reason, he grabbed Roma's hand. Roma, Jordan's right. I love you. I don't want us to keep sneaking around. I don't care about the Zhao family's fortune, as long as you're willing to be with me. He tried to pull Roma into his arms, wanting to hold her tightly and make his promises. But the usually obedient and sweet girl suddenly shoved him away, her eyes red with rage. You're Zhao family's real son, of course you're not afraid. Dad would never really punish you. But me? I'm just an adopted daughter. If I'm with you, I'll lose everything I've worked so hard to gain. Ryan, you talk a good game, but do you even know what suffering feels like? I fought so hard to get into the Zhao family. How could I lose it all just because of you? She screamed so loudly that Ryan's heart grew colder and colder. He could tolerate Roma's little temper tantrums. He could tolerate her reluctance to make their relationship public. He could even tolerate her pushing him towards someone else. But the one thing he could not accept was her not loving him. His face lost the last trace of color. Roma, do you really love me? Chapter 19. Brother, don't be like this. I love you. I really do. But I can't be kicked out of the Zhao family. Tears streamed down Roma's face as she ran away. Watching her retreating figure, Ryan felt as though his heart had completely died. Only now did he finally understand why. All these years, Roma had never wanted to make their relationship public, because to her, her status as a Zhao family daughter had always been more important. He didn't even know how he got home, moving like a hollow shell, drained of all strength, unable to summon any spirit. He drank bottle after bottle of alcohol, drowning himself in it day after day, barely alive. During this time, his friends kept coming to persuade him, but no matter what they said, he couldn't hear them. It was as if only alcohol could help him escape reality. His brothers sat nearby, their faces full of worry, whispering among themselves. It's been a month already. What's wrong with Ryan? I've never seen him like this before. Could it be because of Roma? I heard she's about to get engaged. It's a family-arranged marriage. Maybe Ryan's drinking himself into a stupor because of that? But that doesn't make sense. If Ryan really wanted to stop it, he could have forced the old man at home to compromise using his own status. You don't think maybe it's because of The last speculation trailed off unsaid. But everyone knew whose name it was. None of them dared speak it aloud. Whenever those 3 syllables were mentioned, Ryan would react like a madman, smashing bottles everywhere, his eyes bloodshot as he roared at them to get out, lowering their voices even more. They muttered. But Ryan always treated her like a tool. How could it be because of her? Still, he's really not himself lately. Roma called him several times, he hasn't picked up once. I still think it's because of Roma. I heard she refused to be with Ryan. Their quiet guesses went unanswered, because none of them knew the real answer. Even Ryan himself didn't know whether his pain was because of Roma or Eulalia. When he finally realized that the sister he had loved for so many years valued her status more than him, something inside him shattered. And at the same time, images of Eulalia's face kept flashing before his eyes. Back when they got married, there had been so much gossip. Everyone knew Eulalia had chased after him for 7 years, and that even after 3 years of marriage, he had never touched her. But Eulalia had never cared about the rumors. She had stayed at his side, caring for him quietly. Only in this month did Ryan truly experience what it meant to lose Eulalia. Every day, he thought about the past. She used to be in this house, waking him up with breakfast, worrying about him when he was sick, snuggling into his arms at night, relying on him wholeheartedly. Her eyes had always sparkled with light, even when he treated her coldly. She had been as tenacious as a little tree. But now, she was gone, and the sister he had pursued so desperately didn't even truly love him. He felt like a fool, finally realizing who had truly cared for him only after losing everything. He numbed himself with alcohol, trying to lessen the pain, but whether in reality or drunken dreams, all he could see was Eulalia, like an obsession he couldn't shake, tangled deep around his heart, suffocating him in agony every single day, especially in Beijing. Remembering the last thing she had said to him, she didn't love him anymore. Why did it come to this? He couldn't help but roar, smashing the bottle in his hand. A storm of complicated emotions twisted inside him until he was about to go insane. Ignoring his brother's attempts to stop him, he smashed everything he could reach until his hand brushed against the wedding photo on the wall. It was their only photo together, the only thing Eulalia hadn't thrown away. He had always hated that photo, thinking the most prominent place in the house should hold a picture of him and Roma instead. But now, it had become the final straw that broke him. His hand clenched tightly, trembling in pain and torment. As he hesitated, trapped in indecision, his brother saw through his struggle and spoke up. Ryan, if you want to find Eulalia, just go. She really is a good person. Ryan froze, lowering his voice in confusion and despair. Do you think she would forgive me? Chapter 20. The balance in Ryan's heart had begun to shift when suddenly, a female voice cut in. Brother, tomorrow is my engagement party. Are you really going to ignore me and run off to find Eulalia? It was Roma. She had come hoping to persuade Ryan, but overhearing his words left her stunned. As if she had been deeply hurt, tears welled up in her red-rimmed eyes. Brother, you said you loved me. Are you really going to miss my engagement party to chase after Eulalia and remarry her? Seeing her, Ryan's previously wavering heart suddenly became clear. His sister, the one he had endured the family punishment of 99 lashes for, the one he had married and divorced Eulalia for, was about to be engaged to a man he had never even met. And yet, after all the years they had entangled themselves together, she still didn't have the courage to give up her Zhao family status and choose him. Despite claiming she loved him, Ryan didn't know why, but at that moment, all the feelings he had for her faded away, and in that same instant, he firmly made up his mind he would find Eulalia and tell her he truly regretted everything. He looked coldly at Roma. I've already done enough for you. It's just an engagement party, not a wedding. Whether I attend or not doesn't matter. After all, I'm just your brother, not your husband. His cold laugh made Roma's face flush with embarrassment. I thought you would understand me. Didn't you listen to everything I said that day? Even if we can't be together, I'll always love you. If you insist on going to remarry Eulalia, at least don't do it tomorrow. Brother, please come to my engagement party. She tried to act sweet and pitiful, the way she used to, but Ryan had already seen through her. She didn't love him enough to choose him, and now she wanted to block him from chasing the person he truly loved. He ignored Roma's pleading. Now, his heart held only Eulalia. Just as he rushed to leave for the airport, Roma grabbed the hem of his jacket, her eyes brimming with tears. Even if you go now, it's useless. Eulalia is getting married to her brother, Jordan Yi. It was like a bolt of lightning crashing into Ryan's mind. He had been wallowing in despair for a month, ignoring all outside news. Whether it was Roma's engagement or anything else, he never imagined that in just one short month, Eulalia and Jordan Yi would reach such a point. He froze, slowly turning back. When is their engagement party? Roma bit her lip, refusing to answer. Ryan's face darkened, and he roared. When? Frightened by his anger, Roma stammered through her tears. Tomorrow. No wonder she had begged him so desperately to stay for her engagement. If he went to the Yi family tomorrow, he would have no chance left to win Eulalia back. He had never realized before even Roma could harbor such manipulative thoughts. Staring at her now, she seemed like a stranger to him. Roma finally broke down under his gaze, sobbing uncontrollably. Is it wrong for me to do this, brother? You always loved me most, and now you suddenly love Eulalia. What am I supposed to do? I don't want you to leave me. Can't we go back to the way things were? Facing her, Ryan had nothing left to say. Without hesitation, he coldly flung Roma's hand away, even as she stumbled and fell to the ground. He didn't look back. For the past 20 years, he had believed Roma was the most important person in his life, that it would never change. But fate didn't care about such promises. He booked the fastest flight to Shanghai. He was going to win Eulalia back and tell the world that he truly loved her. After an overnight flight, Ryan finally arrived in Shanghai just before Eulalia's engagement ceremony began. At the Yi residence, Eulalia had just finished changing into her gown and was about to head out when Ryan suddenly burst through the door. Everyone inside froze. No one had expected Eulalia's ex-husband to show up here. Yi father and Yi mother were the first to recover. Smiling calmly, Ryan must have rushed here to give Eulalia his blessings, right? It must have been hard on you. He was panting heavily from running, but when he saw Eulalia in her gown, her face calm, emotionless, a wave of bitterness surged in his heart. He forced himself to hide it, squeezing out a strained smile toward Yi father and Yi mother. Yes, I rushed here overnight. I'd like to speak to Eulalia alone for a moment, if that's all right. Chapter 21. Out of respect for the business ties they shared, father and mother Yi agreed to Ryan's request, giving them space and heading to the banquet hall first. Now, only the two of them remained in the Yi house. Ryan couldn't hold back anymore. He stepped forward, his voice low and hoarse as he called her name, Eulalia. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions, and the pain in his voice could make anyone empathize. But Eulalia showed no reaction, only nodding calmly. What is it? Please hurry. I still have to attend my engagement banquet. Today is important. Once, her voice had been filled with deep affection, but now, Ryan couldn't feel any trace of it. He panicked, his gaze pleading. Eulalia, I'm sorry. It was all my fault. I ignored you because of Roma. I shouldn't have hurt you. Can you forgive me? Yet Eulalia remained cold and indifferent, neither hateful nor joyful. Ever since they had laid everything bare the last time they met, she had already let go. She nodded lightly. I understand, but I don't care about that anymore. Time's running out. I'm leaving. Ryan's heart sank as if a blade had sliced through it, his face turning pale. You're still holding a grudge against me, aren't you? I really know I was wrong. I didn't come back just to apologize. I came back because I want to get back together. I used to think I loved my sister, but over these 3 years, I realized I fell in love with you. Eulalia, please, give me one more chance? The man's eyes reddened, his voice so sorrowful and pitiful that he looked on the verge of tears. This was the first time Eulalia had seen Ryan like this, but it was too late. Far too late. Why couldn't he understand? Eulalia didn't answer. She only looked at him with calm eyes, in which no trace of love, not even hatred, could be found. Ryan felt as if his heart had been crushed in someone's grip, suffocating him. His voice trembled as he drew closer to the woman he loved. I know I was wrong. Eulalia, please believe me, I'll never hurt you again. I'll make it up to you. I'll love you properly. She was right in front of him, his salvation. Ryan knelt before her, pulling Eulalia into his arms. The once proud man now knelt humbly at her feet, ready to offer her everything, showing her his remorse and agony. But Eulalia no longer needed it. She sighed softly, her tone emotionless, as if stating a simple, eternal fact. Ryan, today is my engagement banquet. The body that once clung so warmly to him now pierced him like 1,000 blades. But Ryan refused to let her go. His voice shook with sobs, hot tears soaking into the hem of her gorgeous gown. Eulalia, don't go, don't go. He clutched her desperately, almost begging. Just as Eulalia was about to grow impatient, the door was pushed open. Someone forcefully pulled Ryan away, making him stumble backward. Ryan was about to lash out when he heard Eulalia's voice, full of genuine relief. Jordan, you're here. I was worried you'd get caught up reminiscing with your ex-husband and miss the time. So I came to check. Jordan's tone was polite and composed, but his voice held not a shred of warmth. It was cold as ice, especially when his gaze swept over Ryan. It was the first time Eulalia had seen her younger brother angry, but she felt genuinely relieved. Thank God Jordan came. Otherwise, she didn't know how much longer Ryan would have pestered her. She had no intention of missing her engagement ceremony over this. Seeing Eulalia, usually so cold, now smiling so warmly at another man, Ryan nearly went mad with jealousy. That smile should belong to him and him alone. He forced himself to remain calm, speaking coldly. I know you're just the Yi family's adopted son. If you marry your own sister, you'll be subjected to public scorn. And Eulalia has always loved me. This time, she's only angry after our fight. I can give you half of my assets. The Zhao family fortune isn't small. Isn't that enough to set you up for life? Be smart and give Eulalia back to me. The Zhao family's fortune could easily tempt most people. It was a heaven-sent deal. But Jordan didn't even blink. Instead, he sneered. You really think everyone is like Roma Zhao, only caring about status and wealth? Ryan, let me tell you, my parents already know about me and my sister. They approved. After the engagement, I'll never touch the Yi family's inheritance. I'll build my own business from scratch and give Eulalia happiness. The woman I love is her, no amount of money could ever compare. And besides, I've loved her for a very long time. Thanks to you, I finally got my chance. Ryan's brows furrowed deeply in rage, but Jordan continued, his voice sharp as a knife. Chapter 22. She loved you so much, she stayed in Beijing for 3 years and never once thought of coming home. I thought I never stood a chance. I had decided to give up, until you and Roma started sneaking around and broke her heart. You lost her yourself. Ryan. Jordan's fists clenched, and he shouted coldly, this is between me and Eulalia. Get out of my way. Ryan roared, but Jordan remained unmoved, standing firmly in front of Eulalia. She's not just my sister anymore, she's my fiancée. She's mine now. And you, what the hell are you? You hurt her so selfishly, and now you shamelessly come crawling back, begging for forgiveness. What do you think she is? Your toy? Ryan's face turned deathly pale, his anger boiling over. What right did Jordan have to judge him? How much did he even know? I'll tell you what I am, Ryan hissed. I'm Eulalia's husband. I'm the man she loved for 3 years. We were supposed to get married again, have children, spend our lives together. We were meant to be happy, we would. Enough! Ryan! Eulalia suddenly cut him off. She looked up, her eyes filled with mocking ridicule. We ended a long time ago. What right do you have to talk about being with me? When you were with your own sister, did you ever think about my feelings? What gives you the right to talk about a lifetime together? Her words were like knives, plunging into his heart, extinguishing every last shred of his pride. The man who had been roaring moments ago now looked as pale as a ghost. He dropped his pride and dignity altogether, eyes red, lowering his head in desperate pleading. Eulalia, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please don't be so cruel to me. You still like me, right? I'll change. I'll make it up to you. I'll never see Roma again. I swear. Eulalia lowered her gaze, her expression devoid of sorrow or joy, and delivered the blow that shattered Ryan completely. And besides, Jordan is better than you. I like him. Boom. It was like a deafening explosion inside Ryan's chest. Something deep in him collapsed. He stared at her in disbelief, his face draining of color. his lips trembling as if he might collapse at any moment. His eyes were pitiful, desperately trying to find any trace of denial in her face. But she simply held Jordan's hand and walked away, leaving him behind. At that moment, Ryan felt as though his heart had died. He stood frozen in place, unable to move. It wasn't until he heard the sound of a car engine starting outside that he finally crumbled, clutching his face and letting out a wretched howl, his tears falling uncontrollably. Inside the car, as soon as Eulalia and Jordan sat down, the man who had been stern moments ago suddenly softened completely. His bright eyes locked on Eulalia. Was what you said just now true, sister? Eulalia understood what he was asking but deliberately pretended not to. What are you talking about? Jordan leaned closer, unwilling to give up. You said I'm better than him. That you like me. Eulalia couldn't help but laugh. She hadn't said those words just to anger Ryan, they had come from the bottom of her heart. She truly, sincerely liked Jordan. Unlike Ryan, whether because of age or character, Jordan had always placed her first, never letting her suffer even the slightest grievance. Even when it came time to confess their relationship to their parents, he had taken all the blame upon himself. Actually, it hadn't been as easy as Jordan had made it sound. Just like any prestigious family, such relationships were absolutely forbidden. Jordan had knelt outside for 3 whole days and nights in the pouring rain before their parents finally relented. But the price was steep. Jordan was expelled from the Yi family, stripped of all the businesses he had inherited. He wasn't allowed to keep a single penny. For someone raised in luxury, such conditions would have been unbearable. Yet Jordan had agreed without hesitation, even rejoiced, because it meant he could stay with her. That day, in the heavy rain, Jordan was deathly pale, but his eyes were filled with only her. Sister, he had said back then. I promised, I'll never let you suffer even a little. It was then that Eulalia truly fell in love with him. Chapter 23. Looking at the man who was younger than her, acting all clingy and coquettish just for an answer, Eulalia couldn't help but chuckle softly. She cupped Jordan's face and, for the first time, kissed him. That's right, Jordan, you're wonderful. Not only do I like you, I love you. Her gaze was sincere and open, causing Jordan's entire face to flush bright red, though he had been immersed in the business world for years. In terms of love, Eulalia had always been the only one in his heart. Now that he finally heard her affirmation, he couldn't help but tear up. Eulalia, his lips trembled, and then he took the lead, surging forward to kiss her with overwhelming passion. It was as if he wanted to pour all his love into her, letting Eulalia truly feel his devotion. He murmured endlessly, repeating the word sister over and over, making Eulalia feel like she was burning. It was the first time she truly understood why so many people adored little puppy types. In the end, they were late for their engagement ceremony. Eulalia's face was burning red, wishing she could kick Jordan out. But the man, satisfied and full of mischief, leaned close and called her name teasingly. When ye father and ye mother saw them finally arrive, they greeted them half jokingly, half scolding. Why are you so late? Everyone's been waiting. Eulalia was too embarrassed to answer, so Jordan smoothly took the blame and handled all the questions with ease. Finally, the two of them went up on stage. Even though it was just an engagement party, the scene was grand and magnificent. Many guests had come. Jordan wanted the whole world to know, and had invited nearly everyone he could think of. Only Ryan hadn't been invited, yet somehow, he still came. Throughout the entire ceremony, Ryan sat stiffly in a corner, unable to move, unable to breathe properly. It felt like a giant invisible hand was clutching his heart. Even after the guests had left, he remained frozen in his seat. Eulalia sighed and walked over to him. Ryan's eyes lit up instantly, hope blooming on his face. Eulalia, he looked at her with anticipation, hoping she'd smile at him, hoping she'd say all of this had been a test, a punishment. But there was no emotion on Eulalia's face. Her voice was calm and indifferent. You should go home. Ryan's heart sank instantly. His voice was hoarse, trembling. Eulalia, do you really not love me at all anymore? Eulalia nodded firmly, without hesitation. I told you that day. I don't love you anymore, Ryan. I love Jordan now. After speaking, she turned and left. Without looking back, Ryan sat there alone, feeling as if his heart had been scooped out, leaving nothing but barren wasteland. After a long time, tears finally fell from his eyes, filled with pain and endless regret. He had truly lost her, lost the Eulalia who had once loved him so dearly. When Ryan returned to Beijing, he felt like he had lost everything. Although life around him continued as normal, for him, time had stopped on that day. He didn't even attend Roma's wedding, he couldn't bear to see her. But when Eulalia and Jordan got married, he couldn't help but secretly attend. She looked stunning, even more beautiful than when she had married him. Her face radiated pure happiness, with none of the sorrow she had carried during their time together. Jordan's eyes were filled with nothing but her, and when they exchanged their vows, he even cried. Ryan laughed at first, but the laughter quickly dried up, replaced by suffocating silence. He suddenly remembered how, during their own wedding, Eulalia had cried too, but he had thought she was being melodramatic. So that's what it meant, when you marry the one you truly love, you cry tears of overwhelming joy. He seemed to return to that long-ago scene, young Eulalia, crying so hard her nose turned red. As he stood there coldly, he should have reached out, wiped her tears away, and held her tight. He stared blankly at the ceremony. When he unconsciously reached out, wanting to wipe Eulalia's tears from afar, he saw Jordan had already stepped forward and gently brushed away her tears. "Sister," Jordan said with a radiant smile, "after today, I'll never let you cry again." Hearing this, Eulalia smiled through her tears, the brightest, most beautiful smile Ryan had ever seen. But unfortunately, none of it belonged to him anymore. Suppressing the aching pain in his chest, Ryan turned and left quietly. On stage, Eulalia seemed to sense something, glancing momentarily into the distance. "What's wrong, sister?" Jordan asked beside her. By now, he was quite possessive even though the wedding had just concluded. He considered Eulalia completely his, and he wouldn't allow her to glance at anyone else. Eulalia chuckled helplessly and gave him a peck on the cheek. "Nothing," she said softly. "I just thought, right now, everything is truly perfect."